up, Niners faithful? This is Juju Talk Sports, joined by Jose Corral. You're listening to 49 Reasons to Listen, a channel that has 49 reasons to listen, but 100,000 reasons to subscribe. So go ahead and do that right now. Simple question off the bat, Jose. So Niners coming off a big Sunday night victory against a division rival, the Los Angeles Rams. Are they back, man? Are they ready? Can we compete? Are we back in the playoffs? What are we doing this year?
I wouldn't go that far, but it was such a positive sign. It was so reassuring to watch this team finally play well for that part for basically the entire game. So it was really, really reassuring to see them play well. They got a little bit healthier that week, and I think that was the main reason why you saw that improvement of play compared to the past couple of weeks. They got Jimmy Garoppolo back, and he was playing well. He was actually lights out the very first half. The defense got a little bit healthier as well. And, with the weapons are starting to come back on the offensive side as well. So I wouldn't necessarily say that it's close. They're back to close to what they were last year, but it's a really positive sign. It's going up a very good Los Angeles team and doing what they did against the Rams. It's really reassuring, and it kind of makes it, a little bit of a bright spot here in this. Once we start stepping into a very, very difficult part of the season, I think it was very, very important that they got this win once they start getting into this very, very tough stretch of games.
I mean, we've said it. Everyone said it. Everyone in Niners media said it, and Niners fanhood said it, that the last Sunday's game was a must-win, and they won it.
Yes.
So great. They won it. Now what comes next? What comes next is a big Week 7 game against the Patriots on the road, then go cross-country, play the Seahawks. Then play the Packers on a short week, Thursday Night Football, and then close out with the Saints. All that before the bye. And then after the bye, they're supposed to get Richard Sherman back, Dee Ford's back. Now, the problem is not having those guys. If there was ever games you wanted those guys for, it would be this upcoming slate of games. These 4 games right here, if you told me Richard Sherman was out any one of them, I would say that's concerning, considering he's out all of them. That definitely puts a negative thought bubble in my mind. Not to mention Dee Ford, at minimum, we could have used the extra edge rushing, someone else to kind of like make things uncomfortable for a guy like Aaron Rodgers. We saw how difficult it was for him to deal with press coverage, to deal with the edge rushers that the Tampa Bay Bucks front 7 was able to throw out there. We're already down Nick Bosa, so we need as much talented guys in there to pressure the quarterback as possible. Going back to the Rams game slightly, you would say that was probably one of the bigger things that helped them against like Jared Goff. Jared Goff, not the most mobile guy in the world. They didn't sack him, but you could tell that they kind of made him uncomfortable, made him make some bad decisions. And I think that's an important thing. And that I think they won that game just as much defensively as they did offensively.
Yep.
Offensive-wise, it was a very, I guess you could call it, conservative game plan. We had the 3 touchdowns in the first half and then not a lot else besides that. And I know one stat that's getting thrown out there is that Jimmy Garoppolo, although he had about 280-some passing yards in the game, the majority of them were yards after the catch. And I have no problem with that. If the Yak Bros want to do their thing, that's the game plan, and that's what gets us some wins. You can live with that. But is it going to be good enough against these teams? Do we need more?
I think we're going to need to do a little bit more. I think Kyle Shanahan's going to have to expand that playbook a little bit more, because now we're getting into a little bit more difficult defenses that, like to get a little bit creative. This is a very good example this Sunday. Bill Belichick run defense. He's going to start throwing different blitz packages, a lot of different coverages in the secondary, a very talented secondary. So we're going to have to see Jimmy Garoppolo make a lot of difficult passes, and he's going to have to get a little bit more. I think Kyle Shanahan's going to have to get a little bit more creative with the play calling, and he's going to have to find a way to get some of the more talented guys open. And I think that's the biggest issue right now, is this team offensively just hasn't found its groove as to what it was last year. I think once this offense starts to tick, even against these next very 4 difficult opponents, if this offense starts to get it going, I think this offense could give them a really good chance of, going 3-1. And even if they go 2-2 during these next 4 games, that's actually huge for me if they're able to go 2-2. But if they could win maybe 3 of those games, I think it's going to come down to the offense really getting back to what it was last year. And it's going to take some time, especially, guys like Deebo Samuel's finally back into the lineup. George Kittle's finally finding his groove back into the lineup as well. So I think it's going to take a little bit of time, and what better time than to do it now in these difficult stretches of games. But you mentioned it, the defense has to do a little bit of a better job, especially with very talented quarterbacks that they're going to be facing these next 4 weeks, of getting extra pressure, getting an extra guy to that backfield, just to make these guys who all of them could throw the ball really, really well. And basically all of them can actually, but minus maybe Drew Brees, could really extend plays outside of the pocket, but they have really talented arms. So you're going to have to make life difficult for all 4 of those quarterbacks in order to even have a chance in all 4 of those games.
If you were to tell me they would go 2-2, I personally think they have to go 3-1, just given that they didn't do themselves favors whenever their schedule was easier. If you told me they went 2-2, the most important games out of the stretch, of course, the Seattle game, and I think the Saints game's slightly more than the Packers game. And I'm going to explain why. Of course, the Patriots, it's great to have the storylines we're going to have going into that game. Jimmy G back in Boston, fantastic. But at the same time, you want that division win against the Seahawks. And the Saints are looking more like a wild card team behind the Tampa Bay Bucks. So you want to put yourself in a position in which you have the tiebreaker advantages over teams like that. The Packers, although they're technically a wild card, I think we both agree that they're better than the Chicago Bears and should eventually win that division. So if they did go 2-2 in the stretch of the 4 games here, I would prefer those to be the wins. However, again, I need them to go 3-1, and if they were to lose just the one, it would have to be against the Patriots. You want to win at least the ones against the NFC opponents here. Unfortunately, injuries, again, rearing their ugly head, because although we talked about the guys who are already expected to miss, we did have some fresh new batch of injuries. Raheem Mostert being the headliner. Kwaski Tart apparently is hurt as well. Ben Garland wouldn't be missing this game, so we have to rely on Grossu, our third string center. Anytime you hear third string on the offensive line, you kind of cringe a little bit. I think Jimmy G is going to be cringing a little bit more, considering he has to be defended by these guys. Luckily, when you talk about the Patriots, although they do a decent job of applying pressure, you wouldn't say they have a marquee pass rushing tandem on there. So luckily, this is probably a matchup where you could get by with it. Seattle has 0 pass rush. So I think at least the next 2 opponents, they should be able to manufacture offense behind that offensive line. They're going to have to do a lot of stuff that they did against the Rams. Quick, get the ball out of your hands, go kind of things. And I think that probably is just the game plan moving forward. You just want to get the ball out of Jimmy G's hands fast, because this line hasn't been able to protect him for too long anyway. Let the Yak Bros do their thing. Let Debo do his thing. Let Brandon Ayuk do his thing. Let George Kittle do his thing. But I think that's the formula for this team moving forward. I don't know if that's going to be good enough to win playoff games, and that's going to be another thing that we're going to get into here in the next few weeks. Is this team still a playoff team? And it's tough when you actually look at the standings and they're last in the NFC West, because the Cardinals, who have a tiebreaker advantage over us, they just rolled over the Cowboys. The Seahawks, we know how dangerous they are. They're still undefeated on the year. And then the Rams, thankfully, we got the tiebreaker over them, so that tells you how huge of a matchup that was. But I still think to really to go anywhere, they're going to have to sweep the Rams now. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of things to go right for a team to make the playoffs, and that definitely does concern me on the prospect of it. But I guess let's close it here. Is this team still a playoff team, Jose?
Oof, I think right now, if the way you look at how the team has played these first 6 weeks and kind of looking into the schedule coming up and seeing some of the guys that are going to come back, I think if you were to kind of examine it as a team right now, I think you would find them on, the outside looking in just by a couple of games. But that doesn't mean that we could go on a run after this difficult stretch and win the next 4 games after these 4. I mean, anything could still happen, but we need to win at least a couple of games here in these next few weeks. The win against Los Angeles was absolutely huge. If they would have lost that game, I would have almost just completely ship sailed on the season. But I think right now, the way the injuries have kind of started to pile up, we have a couple of key injuries again. I think right now you're looking at this team being just on the outside looking in of the playoff picture.
Okay, I'm going to hold the faith for a couple weeks longer, but if we have a loss to Seattle, I think I might have to abandon ship too. I'm sorry. All right, guys. Well, hopefully things work out in the stretch. Hopefully go 4-0. Optimism. Let's keep it up. Optimism toward 2020. Am I right? Am I about it? Okay. Well, hit subscribe, hit that like button, comment below what you think is going to happen, and we'll see you next time.